Okay, there's a lot of event-exclusive Pokemon in the 7th generation. I mean, look at Shiny Tapu Koko, that all of the Tapus are shiny locked inside the game, so the only way we can get them is through events. Now, the Shiny Tapu Koko is only available in Japan, Korea, and China, but it's looking to get an outside of Asia release pretty soon. We also do have the Ash Cap Pikachu. Now, this is directly tied in with the movie. The movie comes out in Japan first, then gets a release outside Japan a couple months later, so there's going to be a natural build-up. We will receive these events, and people are treating it like it's the end of the world and we're never going to see it, but that's just not true. Then, things get worse from there as we look at the list of exclusive Pokemon and shiny locked in the 7th generation. So fortunately, with the Shiny Tapu Koko, it's not too much of a stretch to say that the other Tapus will eventually be released, so at least we can cross those off, but man, that's still an absurd amount, mostly because the Ultra Beasts are shiny locked, but even the legendaries are shiny locked. We don't know anything about Shiny Magearna or its alternate form, and then there's Marshadow. Yeah, so let's try to break these down individually and then tackle the shiny Ultra Beasts head on, because it seems like they're going to be the most complex. Now, it took 2 years, so Shiny Yveltal Xerneas took a very long time to be released. Now, I don't think it's going to be that long for the Sun and Moon legendaries, but it is something that they eventually got released, and I'm seeing that we could get the same thing. Now, it also might be a little less complex if we just get Shiny Cosmog. You know, Shiny Cosmog event, and then you have a friend that has Sun that turns into Solgaleo for you, or you use it in your Moon version, and then you get your Shiny Lunala. So that means we don't have as many events. It seems like it could be a bit messy if there's a Shiny Solgaleo, then a Shiny Lunala, and maybe a Shiny Cosmog, because that has to exist at some point. So by doing Cosmog, we get the entire evolutionary line, and then potential for those to be shiny. Next up, we do know Marshadow is confirmed to be a big part of the 20th Pokemon movie, which is just going to be a 7th-ish generation movie with all kinds of weirdness in it. Now, recently, and actually pretty commonly, the Pokemon Company just does not do events for shiny mythical Pokemon. That we saw with Volcanion, Hoopa, Meloetta, Keldeo, Victini, and also the Celebi event that was only in 2nd generation, therefore there's no way of transferring it up. There's a lot of mythical shiny exclusives that have never been distributed, and then that just kind of goes along with probably going to happen with Marshadow. Now, Magearna is interesting because it does have an alternate form with its Pokeball pattern while also having a shiny form as well. So, I don't know how that's going to happen considering we already missed the boat on the Magearna movie, and that movie came out in the 6th generation, and then we ended up getting the Magearna release early on in the 7th generation as a part of like an event and showing off QR code distribution, and then it leaves us with the Ultra Beast. Now, Necrozma kind of counts in this because remember, Looker did mistake Necrozma for an Ultra Beast, and also Necrozma has the same stat distribution as an Ultra Beast. Not the same base stat total, but it makes it to where it only has stats that are based off of prime numbers, much like Ultra Beast, and it's only unlocked after capturing all the Ultra Beasts, so it has some kind of tie-in, and it's also just not programmed to be shiny. So the soft resetting for shinies in the 7th generation is pretty weak. Now let's look at a timeline here to see if we can kind of justify when there might be an event for shiny Ultra Beast or other shiny legendary Pokemon. So if we look at this, there were 3 movies in the 6th generation, and it's not really too much of a stretch to say the same for the 7th generation. So we had Deontay, we had Hoopa, and then we had Volcanion, and then Magearna was kind of tied in, and then we also got to see the legendary Pokemon as well, and then it was just kind of a mess with the movies for the 6th generation. Now going into the 7th generation, my thought is we have the Pokemon Sun and Moon sequel version, then we have a potential 4th generation remake, and that could be 2 movie years right there. Now I'm not saying the movies are going to be based off of this. My thought is we're going to get a movie based off the legendaries, then we're going to get a movie based off the Ultra Beasts, and Necrozma falls into either of them, maybe both of them. The only issue I see is with the anime, that I think the Ultra Beast could work better with an anime release, that if you're just building up the story, and then also it could help reduce the clutter of the events, because looking at it, remember guys, we have all of these Ultra Beasts to be released. We have 7 Pokemon that need to be released shiny, on top of the 3 other Tapus, on top of the legendary Pokemon, on top of the potential Magearna. It's pretty messy. Now, they did give a lot with the Pokemon 20 anniversary, but that still felt like way too many events. You know, it was an event Pokemon every month on top of some potential legendaries and other events. That's where we got our Shiny Yveltal and Xerneas event on top of all that. So it was pretty ridiculous, and that doesn't even include Necrozma. But if it was at least for the anime, I could see it being spaced out. Like, oh, by the way, Naligo's starting to play a part in the story and has been revealed in the anime. Shiny event distribution. Couple episodes later, oh, Pheromosa, shiny event distribution. Now, doing the event like this could work out pretty well because it at least means that everyone has access to the exclusives, much how, like, with the Xerneas and Yveltal being distributed, you could actually get access to both of them despite only having one game. Now, I see this distribution being a pretty good thing because for the version exclusive Ultra Beasts, now you just get free access to them, so don't have to worry about capturing them, even though it's really easy with the Beast Ball. And then if there's a shiny version of it, you got a little bit of swag right there. So I think that for a spaced out distribution could work with the anime, but then that leaves problems for how long it's going to take to receive it outside of Japan. If it's a part of the movie, then that's just too much clutter. But I could see a movie being based around Ultra Beasts being pretty nice and entertaining, so it could go either way. Now, another way that they could remedy this, and I feel this would be the best way of giving longevity and also just kind of building back some hype into Pokemon Sun and Moon, would be for the sequel version. Just don't shiny lock the freaking Ultra Beast, Game Freak, and everyone will be happy. That you just do the encounter like normal, and then it has a chance of being shiny. Maybe make the odds a little higher because Ultra Beasts are weird like that. I don't know. Just give us something because these soft resets are very lame in Pokemon Sun and Moon. That we get Porygon and we get Type Null, and that's all there is to it. And that's really not that fantastic considering in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire we had soft resets for almost all released legendary Pokemon at that time. We also had chain fishing, there was a friend safari in X and Y. There were a lot more avenues to shiny hunt in the 6th generation. The 7th generation killed off a lot of that. And here we have 7 Pokemon, or at least 5 depending on the games and whatnot. We have 5 Pokemon that you can encounter in the game that could be used to be reset for shinies and have this like exclusivity that wasn't in the earlier generation of games. So I think that this could be a very likely scenario that they expand upon the Ultra Beast storyline or do something like that, and then that's when we have it to where they're not shiny locked anymore, because having this many shiny locked Pokemon just feels wrong, and it feels like there's too much unreleased content even after the 6th generation where we had AZ's Floette and a couple other things that just never really happened. Like a lot of the Zygarde data that ended up existing in the 7th generation was in the code of the 6th generation and really meant nothing. That's why people thought there was going to be a Z version, but it just turned out not being true. Now, another thing is if they do this for the shiny locks, or if they remove the shiny lock, or if they give another opportunity to Ultra Beast in a future Pokemon game, they need to remove the sequential order of the encounters, mostly for competitive, but also potential shiny competitive resetting as well, because that's just not fun. You have to plan out every single potential competitive use of an Ultra Beast you don't even know that you're going to be using, just to make sure you don't lose out on one of these exclusive encounters. I had this issue because I wanted to use Kartana sooner than I wanted to use any of the other Ultra Beasts. Since I had Moon version, I had to rush to Celesteela, catch the nature, trade my proper nature Celesteela for a proper nature Kartana, and that's how I was able to get Kartana. Now, fortunately, there are multiple encounters for the Ultra Beasts, so it does make trading between games pretty good, but what if you want multiple natures? What if you want multiple things like that? It makes it pretty difficult, but then that means to get to the Celesteela, I had to already determine what I wanted out of a competitive Pheromosa, what I wanted out of a competitive Nihilego, and I didn't even reset for the nature on the Xurkitree. I was just fed up at that point. I had 4 Pheromosa encounters, and only 2 of them I decided to settle on with being competitive. I think I might have taken 1 competitive Nihilego, and I have a quiet and a bold Xurkitree, because I just didn't even care after that. So it forced me to give up these opportunities. Now that Z Hypnosis Xurkitree is a really awesome Pokemon, I want to run it. I can't run it because the stats aren't there. There's no more encounters to be found, and I don't have, like, I can't quiet nature Z Hypnosis on the Xurkitree, so that kind of puts us in an unfortunate situation. Also, to complete the Pokedex, I had to get a Guzzlord. So I had to catch my Guzzlord prematurely to complete the Pokedex to get a Shiny Charm, and there's no going back with that. And there was only 1 encounter instead of multiples. So it kind of screwed up the plans I had, and it also kind of doesn't make sense when we look at the Ultra Beast in their Ultra World, that we know that there's multiple of them in the Ultra Beast dimension, and it seems like they could be as common as Rattata for all we know, if there's so many of them that they're actually able to spill over into our world, and why can't they be shiny in their world as well? That we know that there's data for shiny Ultra Beast sprites. If it's not being released in Pokemon Sun and Moon, why did they put it in at all? Like, it would be more surprising if it's like, holy crap, random shiny Ultra Beast going to be released like that. So either the anime is going to start distributing it for that, or maybe it's just unused data that finally gets a meaning in a future generation of games. But that also puts us in another predicament, that if they are common enough, or if there are multiple encounters, and if they can be shiny reset, does that reduce their value as a special Pokemon? That Ultra Beast kind of came in as this beastly, strange creature that's special in our world, even though common in its own world, and we learn about that through the story. So are they supposed to be special Pokemon? Like, they have absurd stats. They're still under these pseudo-legendaries for the region, and they're on par with the not box legendary Pokemon trios that are kind of confusing to use in discussion. So it does give them some exclusivity while also removing it, and then, yeah, it makes it harder to use for them competitively if there's only a certain amount of encounters for such a desirable Pokemon to use in battle, or even if they are Pokemon because they're beasts and they're from a different world, who even knows anymore? So there we go, guys. I just wanted to kind of take a look at what's going on with the Ultra Beast distribution. With this many unreleased and shiny locked Pokemon, the 7th generation is crazier than anything we could have expected, but it means that there's a lot of potential. I would personally like to see not all of them being dumped as events that are going to be hacked into oblivion, and then people complaining about it's Japan only, even though all they have to do is wait 3 freaking months and then they're going to have it. But who knows what's going to happen. The Game Freak is making some weird decisions when it comes to these releases, but if they do save a non-sequential thing for a future Pokemon game, I think that would be the most ideal, and it would help out a lot of people. Anyone that enjoys shiny hunting would be able to get a fair shot at getting a shiny Ultra Beast, and also just having more content in a game is always good. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.